Welcome back everyone. Today we are going to talk about the best fighter from every continent, and we're going to start it right off with North America. You could go with Jon Jones, who is the number 2 pound for pound right now. He's not the GOAT, by the way, in my opinion, but I'm going to make another video about that. He has 14 title wins. He never really lost, to be honest, but the only problem is I'm not entirely certain of him, since we've only seen him compete for 2 minutes in the last 4 years, so you could also go with someone like Sean O'Malley. He is the number 6 pound for pound right now, and of course he's coming off the impressive Cheeto fight. That was his first title defense. He had 2 very good performances in his title fights, and then he won pretty much every fight clearly, besides the Yan fight. I think it's fair to pick Sean O'Malley as the best fighter out of North America right now, but I'm not certain if I should go with Jones or O'Malley, so I just go with both, honestly. But yeah, of course, if you go with all-time legacy, Jon Jones is better, but I am not focusing on all-time legacy. I'm looking at the current state of the fighter, and right now I'd have to go with O'Malley, honestly. Okay, next up, South America, and here we got Alex Pereira. He is our current light heavyweight champion. He's the number 4 pound for pound, 6-1 in the UFC on a 2-fight win streak, and actually he's only 2-1 in title fights. I know he held the middleweight title and he's holding the light heavyweight title right now, but he's only 2-1 in title fights. But what he has done is he has beaten Strickland, who would go on to become champion, and he beat 2 former champs in Jiří Procházka and Jan Blachowicz, which is very impressive in my opinion. And yeah, Alex Pereira is the best fighter out of South America, along with Alexandre Pantoja. Man, I really like this guy. He's our flyweight champ and the number 10 pound for pound. And man, I really like this dude, okay? He's 11-3 in the UFC. 2-0 in title fights. He is coming off a very impressive performance versus Brandon Royval, and he's probably gonna beat Usyk. This fight is random as fuck, and man, this Usyk dude really has to stop making these silly videos on this bedtime channel, and he should really get to training to beat Alexandre instead of doing these tier lists. And man, Steve Usyk, if you see this, stop uploading to your channel and start training for your opponent. Next up, we got Asia, and man, I would have gone with Belal Muhammad because Belal Muhammad is of Palestinian heritage and he also likes to represent Palestine. But I ended up not choosing him because I felt like it wouldn't be fair, because he was born and grew up in the USA. He trains out of Chicago. He's from Chicago. With all due respect, I'll pick Song Yadong, who's the number 7 bantamweight in the world. And I know he also trains out of the USA now, I'm pretty sure about that. But he has lived his life in China and he has trained a long time in China. So yeah, he's 10-3 in the UFC, number 7 ranked bantamweight at the time. He lost his last fight to Yan, but he's only 26 years old. He still has a lot of time left. His record kind of sucks, honestly. He's 28-1. 21-8. He has been competing ever since he's 15. Honestly, go to his topology record. You can see, okay, he's 26 years old and he made his debut 11 years ago. Bro was in puberty when he made his debut. That's crazy. He trains with Team Alpha Male now, but I think it's fair to call him an Asian fighter. Not only someone with an Asian background or Asian heritage, but actually an Asian fighter. I think that's fair. Next up, we got Europe, and here I picked Islam Makhachev, number 1 pound for pound, undefeated, undisputed. Okay, maybe he's not undefeated, but he's definitely undisputed. He is 14-1 in the UFC. He's riding an insane 13-fight win streak, coming off a vicious KO versus Volk. And man, for all the Volk fans out there, the short notice doesn't matter. Volk just got caught. I don't care how long of a fight camp you got. You just got caught there. Volk was always open to the head kick. The Weasel made a whole video before the Yair fight showing how Volk was always vulnerable to the head kick. Islam figured that out and just kicked him in the head. Short notice this, short notice that. No, you just got caught. Volk was not about to dodge that. He tried to block it with one hand, which terribly failed. And man, Islam beating Volk like that was canon in my opinion. It happens in every single parallel universe. Okay, enough rage bait. We have another fighter, which is Leon Edwards, the number 3 pound for pound right now, which is a bit high, I guess, on the pound for pound list. But he is 14-2 in the UFC. He won 3 title fights. He's also riding a very impressive 12 fight win streak. He won 3 title fights, but Colby was kind of mid though, but he looked decent, especially in the grappling. And he's also riding an insane 12 fight win streak. But I'm just a bit more impressed by Islam and his performances. Like, Islam wasn't getting wobbled and left doing the chicken dance by Nate Diaz. So yeah, I'll go with Islam above him and Leon just a teeny tiny bit behind Islam. And next up we got Africa. Here I picked Dricus du Plessis, our current middleweight champion. He lives in Africa and trains out of Africa. To be honest, he does live in a like gated community in Pretoria because South Africa is not a safe country, man. Like, Dricus du Plessis isn't your average run-of-the-mill South African, okay? He lives in a gated community, okay? But man, I would have picked Izzy for Africa, but he left Nigeria when he was very young and he trains out of New Zealand. And of course, for everyone out there, you leaving a country doesn't make the country leave you, okay? A lot of you who only come from one country won't understand that. For every one of us who has a bit more of a complicated backstory regarding where we come from, it is understandable that Izzy calls himself African, which he absolutely is, by the way. I see Izzy as an African who moved to New Zealand, but I don't see him as an African fighter per se. I think you all understand my point. I do see Dricus as an African fighter, and let's actually get back to him. He recently beat Sean Strickland in a split decision, which was completely fair. The judges got it right, by the way. He did that after getting a 6-fight win streak, which included wins and finishes over Darren Till and a really good finish of Robert Whittaker. So yeah, we got Dricus for Africa. And our last continent, last but not least, is Antarctica. We got this crazy man called Yuri Prochaska, fights and trains out of Antarctica. But Yuri is coming off the loss, and considering that, you could also go with this penguin. Honestly, this penguin beats Pereira if you ask me, but y'all are not ready for that conversation.
And you don't seem to understand. A shame you seem